Oh, I'm so nervous. Hi guys, welcome to Let's Talk Wrestling. This is your co-host Ryan and your other co-host Ryan Squared today with our special guest, a former OVW television champion, a former professional wrestler himself. I'll let you introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are.
Hey guys, I'm AJZ, Andreas John Ziegler. I'm an independent professional wrestler, former freestyle skier, and former bodybuilder. So, see if we can find any interesting material in here. If not, at least I'm relatively aesthetically pleasing, I would think. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Oh, for sure, man. Well, thanks for joining us today. We hope you're doing well and everything. All things considered with the world and what have you. So I guess we'll just dive straight in then. What we're all about here on Bold Prediction Wrestling Podcast. So I'll just fire off with the first question, yeah?
Yeah, let's hear it, man.
So what is your earliest memory of watching wrestling?
Earliest memory. I think throughout my entire life, I was always a wrestling fan. But my earliest memories were playing the old SmackDown versus Raw like video games. Like before I ever watched it consistently, I would play the old SmackDown versus Raw like 2006 or whatever video game it was on PlayStation. So that's like my earliest memory of wrestling, probably around age 6 or 7. But then I consistently started watching around 9 on TV as well. But I started playing the video games first, yeah.
Yeah. Ryan, you got anything you want to ask?
Yeah, who was, I won't say favorite, but who was someone that you grew up watching that you was like always wanted to watch and watch wrestling stuff, and maybe base your style off as well?
I think that the wrestler that you aspire to be like or watch or admire as a kid is the one that you should study the most, right? Because that's the one who stood out to you as a kid. And in reality, kids are the ones that, as a performer, if you can gravitate towards them, you can draw money anywhere. So I like John Cena a lot, Kofi and Dolph. And then as I became a performer in wrestling, I was like, what made those guys stand out to me? You know, why did I like them as a kid? And the reason why I liked them is because they constantly sold their character, who they were, why they did it, their persona. They're describable. Dolph was the blonde guy with the slick attitude and the perfection. Kofi was the boom boom guy with the athleticism and could jump high. And then John was the never give up, jacked guy who stood up for what was right. You know what I mean? He was describable, and they all had a who and a reason and a why. And now that I'm wrestling, that's one of the things that I kind of aspire to do, is have a who I am, why I'm doing it, and a reason that people can not only like me or hate me, but they can describe me to their friends. So that was kind of a long-winded answer, but those are the guys that I looked up to. And that's why I think it's important to like model your style per se, or kind of look up to them as people to learn from, because they stood out to me as a kid. So if they stood out to me as a kid, I can learn from what they did, then I'll try to, or at least have a better chance at standing out to kids nowadays,
For sure, man, for sure. And like sort of similar to that topic, is there like a match in the past that's really stuck out to you as like always just somehow like stuck with you through these years sort of thing?
Shawn versus Taker, WrestleMania 26, the Streak versus the Crew.
Yeah.
Not only was it a good match, but it had a good story, which is all the more important, you know what I mean?
For sure, man.
Yeah, man. That was like in my early phases of watching wrestling around 2010. You know what I mean? I was probably like 10 years old. So, yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's similar as to us. It's amazingly different what you're doing. What I do.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, that was one of my earlier memories, and that was a match that really stuck with me. So,
yeah.
What would you say was your favorite brand to watch when you was younger?
I mean, there really wasn't any competition, I mean, we had Impact. Impact was big in, the early 2010s and stuff like that. But until recently, there hasn't really been any real competition. I mean, I watched everything as a kid. I would watch Ring of Honor, Impact, Obviously WWE, but I guess my favorite as a kid was WWE because that was what was, the only real mainstream consistent show when I was a young kid. You know what I mean? In 2009, 2008, 2010. I mean, Impact was it was there, but WWE was on a different level at that time. So definitely I was a WWE guy as a kid for sure.
I'm going to put you on the spot real quick now. We're only 5 questions deep, but this is where it gets going now. If you have the chance, which hopefully you do one day, would you prefer to wrestle with WWE or the fresh and new start in AEW?
I would rather go to the place that has the best opportunity and the best deal for me. I don't really care which place it is. I just love professional wrestling, and at the end of the day, wherever I have the best offer is where I'm going to go.
Good answer, to be fair.
What would your favorite match type that you'd like to participate in? If you could like nothing, there was no boundaries.
You mean like my favorite gimmick match, or what?
Yeah.
I mean, I always liked TLC matches. Not to say I want to be in one, but I always like watching them. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll be a manager for someone during those. Yeah, except I'm not taking the classic manager bump. I'm just gonna stand there.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I think TLC would be pretty cool because there's a lot of different components you can do with that. You can do the pinfall victory, you can climb it up, and if you really sell the intent, which is the gimmick of the match in the sense of climbing the ladder or using the objects around you, or the no DQ, all that stuff, it can really be more fun to play off of as a performer. So using gimmick matches like that can be an opportunity to sell a different intent in your matches.
What about a Firefly Funhouse match?
Yeah. I think I'll hold off on that one, right?
That's very wise.
Don't blame you for that, man. Don't blame you for that. And like, who would your dream opponent be? So like past, present, who would you, if you could go back into like the vault of wrestlers gone like past and present, who would you choose as your dream opponent?
Past, present, and future, or just pick one?
You can do a couple if you want.
I feel like I could have a really good match with Shawn Michaels, honestly. But I'd have to pick Shawn. I really would.
Yeah.
Have to pick Shawn. Maybe Cena, something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be 2 really good guys. Maybe Taker. Those would all be really great guys for me to work with, in my opinion. But I don't know if that'll ever happen. Cena would be the most likely at this point, right?
Yeah, you never know, though. Never know.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Retirement in wrestling is like Bret Favre's retirement, right? You come out of it like 15 times. Yeah, man. So that'd probably be my pick with that.
Who would you say is your current favorite wrestler? Like any promotion, doesn't necessarily have to be WWE or AEW.
My favorite current wrestler. It changes for me all the time. It really does. I would have to go with Roman.
Oh, yes, Mike, yes.
I would have to go with Roman because he sells who he is, why he does it, and everything he does is believable. You know what I mean? It's he can do. I've seen him do dives and stuff. What all the marks want to see, But at the end of the day, like he's believable. You know what I mean? When he is in the ring, he's a star. You believe what he's doing, and he believes what he's doing, which makes a difference. So I think he's the best right now for sure. I mean, there's a reason why he's at the top, right? So.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, man. For sure. So I think if we start talking about your career now, if that's good with you, so I was gonna delve straight in there.
Sure, let's do it, man.
So where does your nickname, for anyone that doesn't know, is the Golden Boy, right? Where does that come from?
The Golden Boy comes through personifying everything that I am, which is the perfect look, the perfect body, the athleticism, the charisma, the total package. So if you put the label golden on it, it just represents what I already am, golden. So that's really where it comes from.
Nice.
I rate that, to be fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did it come about? Like you wanting to become a wrestler? So obviously you've touched on that you was like a bodybuilder and etc. So how did it come about that you wanted to get into the wrestling business?
Yeah, so when I was 14, I actually started training initially, and I couldn't really get any real bookings or anything at age 14. So that's when I took a break and did the bodybuilding, but my body got bigger, stronger, you know. And then when I was 19, I came back to wrestling, and I started while I was in college at a place called Firestar Pro Wrestling in North Carolina with LeBron Cozone. And then after that, then I moved to OVW with Al Snow, and then kind of continued training from there. So.
Oh, nice. And like speaking of OVW, like obviously it's well known in OVW. What is it like to actually wrestle for them?
Wrestling for OVW is a great experience that can't be found elsewhere. For instance, most places don't have a training school and live TV experience, whereas OVW, not only does it teach kids how to wrestle, but it also teaches them how to wrestle on TV, which when you go other places, like they have shows on Fight and stuff, and the promoter will be like, go 10 minutes. Some guys don't know how to follow times. And that's not a knock on them. It's just if you've never been taught how to do it, you just don't know how to do it, you know?
Yeah.
But once you go to a bigger company, those things are pretty vital and important and essential because, 30 seconds TV is a large investment. And if you run 15 seconds over on your time, man, that's a good reason for you to get fired. You can have the best match. They always say if you're gonna go long, make sure it's good. But I mean, if you're new there and you start going long and taking away from the top guy's time, that's heat right there. So learning from OVW is a good place to be, so you don't step on the wrong toes on your way up the ladder. You know what I mean? So you have to learn how to hit your times and work TV and know how everything looks. So.
Do you remember your first match in OVW?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Do you remember your first match in OVW? Like,
Yeah, my first match in OVW, I mean, I had a few darks before I was brought on the TV. But my first match was against a guy named Justin Smooth for the heavyweight championship. It was just like all the guys kind of around the ring. And man, I looked like the John Cena prototype when I first got there. My hair was slicked back and I had the blue tights and everything. And he was like, hey, John Cena lookalike, step in here. And then we had like a match. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was almost like the Kurt Angle John Cena thing. And then I kind of stepped up, held my own, and then he beat me in the end with a roll up. So it was just kind of how that worked.
Oh, sweet, man. Sweet. So I was looking through your stuff, obviously. And you recently worked with Enzo Amore, I believe. How was it like to work with Enzo? Like, what did you learn from him or anything like that?
Enzo's become one of my best friends in wrestling, actually. He stays in touch with me all the time. But the best things that Enzo's taught me is just screw the moves. You know what I mean? Like, do the moves. You got to have athletic, good competition matches, especially when you go other places, but like New Japan and stuff like that. But it's very important to have a character. You know what I mean? And like I was talking about earlier, it's important to have something that makes you stand out because you can get over doing moves, but you also can be replaceable doing moves. But if you're a person, you know what I mean? Like, what makes The Rock different? He's The Rock, right? You can't replace The Rock. So become a person and a character and a personality that can't be replaced. And it's an intangible that other people don't have because you're unique, because you're you, not because you do something. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, for sure, man.
What's Enzo like behind the scenes? Like, obviously, because we see what he's like on TV and obviously what we've seen of him, but is he different, or is there like some similarities from his TV to his normal life?
Enzo's just he's a really good dude, man. He does a lot of community work in the New York, New Jersey area. He's always trying to help out kids and serve the public. So I mean, Enzo is Enzo. I mean, what you see on TV is him, but it's just times 100, which is the best way to be as far as a character. You can't. Wrestlers aren't actors; they're reactors. They react to what they have. So, as a performer, Enzo, the reason why he got over and it was believable was A, because he put in the work, but B, because it was him. You know what I mean? So, wrestlers aren't professional actors; we're reactors. So we present what's presented to us, which if it's your persona, then you exemplify that. So Enzo's persona on TV, that's him. It's just dialed back, 100 times in real life. He's just a really good dude. He's just cool and funny and hilarious. You know what I mean?
Sweet, man, I bet. So, like, who's your favorite person you've worked with today, like, throughout your career?
Enzo, for sure.
Yeah, Enzo, yeah.
Definitely Enzo. Yeah, definitely. He's opened up. He's just helped me, man. I can't thank that guy enough. So he's a really good dude in the ring, out of the ring, and just everywhere else. He just treats people the way, you want to be treated. He's not one of those guys where he's like too good to talk to anyone. He'll take a picture with everybody anywhere and have a 5-minute conversation. So yeah.
What's your favorite match that you've taken part in?
The favorite match I've taken part in?
Yeah.
Honestly, I would have to say, yet again, my match with Enzo. We did a match recently on Impact Plus app. I don't know if it's aired yet, for Lariato Pro in Lyons, Georgia. That crowd was amazing, and we just had good chemistry, and we were just working well together. So that was a really fun match to take part in. You know what I mean? So I love that one for sure.
So obviously with the current events of the world at the moment, we've never really heard from wrestlers themselves, but what is it like to wrestle, like, with limited people in the crowd and, like, the COVID restrictions and all that? Like, what's that like?
I mean, it depends where. I mean, Tennessee never shut down, so.
Oh, right.
But when there's no crowd, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, you don't know when's long enough or when's too long or what worked and what didn't. When you have the boys in the crowd, it works, but at the same time, you don't know what the people at home are feeling, because the boys in the crowd, they know when to clap, they know when to do stuff, you know what I mean? But when you have an actual audience out there, they just do stuff if you do it right, and they don't if you don't. So sometimes you just don't know if stuff's working or if it didn't work, or if it was too fast, too slow, how long the baby should be down or up or whatever, based upon there's no crowd reaction. And then if it's just like artificial reactions from the guys in the crowd, they know when to cheer, they know when to boo, they know when to cheer, they know when to come up for the baby. Stuff. So it's just, you don't know if you did it right or wrong, because they're workers. They know what they're, they know when they're supposed to cheer and boo and all that stuff. But when their reactions are organic, it's much easier to know if you did a good, bad, or indifferent job with your performance.
Is there anyone that you've got your eye on to hopefully wrestle within like the next few years?
I started training with Griff Garrison, and I've had a few experiences with Brian Pillman as well. I actually never got to have a match with either of them, considering I've trained with Griff and I've been around Brian at OVW quite a bit. But those are two good friends of mine, and I definitely like to mix it up with them in the near future for sure.
Yeah, that'd be good to see, to be honest. Have you had, like, I know you're relatively new in your career, but have you had any, like, crazy stories or anything, like something you've experienced on the road or anything like that you'd be allowed to share?
No. I don't know, man. I just feel like every time there's just something. Like when I first moved to OVW, like I got a flat tire and then my car broke down, yada, yada, yada.
Oh,
so
God.
Fork it over. But it's just like, it's just wrestling, It's like, it's one of those things where you just expect stuff to happen on the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just, to have one specific memory stick out to me, I don't know. I mean, it's just cool to ride with Enzo in the car and stuff like that. That's always like a cool memory, and just listening and learning.
Yeah.
Then funny stuff as well. So it's just random stuff every time, you know what I mean? It's an interesting life, and it's really cool because you get to meet people all over, see things all over, and just revisit things. It's very bizarre, cool, and different lifestyle that most people don't get to live,
Yeah.
Have you got an idea where you'd like to be within, say, the next 5 years? Like kind of like an end goal that you'd like to achieve?
That's the right pressure question, that.
I don't have end goals. I just like to progress every day. But definitely I would like to be making a full-time living doing this and influence people while doing it and continue to get better. I don't really have like a specific, like I said, promotion or title or person I would necessarily need to work. I just want to continually become better and make more money and, influence more people while doing that. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Fair play, man. Fair
I don't
play.
want to like pivot myself as a WWE guy or an AEW guy or this, that, and the other. It's just one of those things where it's like wherever my talents are best fit or where there's an opportunity or wherever there's money, that's where I'm going to go. You know what I mean? And it's not that it's about money, but it's business, man. You take your options and you weigh them out and you say, which is best for me in my life and my future. And what do I want to do? And I'd be happy to go anywhere. So.
Yeah. That's like a good way to look at it as well. Like, especially these days, how like it can be cutthroat, can't it? But with that perspective, there's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of guys they forget business, man. You know, like it is. They always say this business, but guys don't treat it like a business. You know what I mean? Like they don't. Some guys don't treat it as if this is what they're doing to make money. In the beginning, you don't make much money, if at all, or honestly, you lose a lot of money. But if you treat it like a job, work for it like a job, and treat yourself like a business, like you're selling yourself as a product, it's a different mentality. You don't always, cater yourself or quote unquote give yourself for certain things that you feel, above. And that's not to say that, you're better than anything, because no one's better than anything. But it's one of those things where it's like you have to hold yourself to a certain standard to be respected in a certain way, if that makes sense. Once you get to the point where you have a little bit of pull. So
what's like the thing, if you could like go back to the start of your career and tell your younger self, what would you tell him that could like what you've learned so far in your journey?
In wrestling, you can't screw up. You just keep moving forward. The only time you can screw up in wrestling is if you allow the people to realize you screwed up. If a spot goes wrong, adjust and figure something out. If your promo goes wrong, just keep rolling with it. If someone starts booing you, react to it and flip it around and put it on them. Like you can't screw up. You can only let them see that you screwed up. But if you keep moving forward, you never screw up. That's just the truth. You know what I mean? It's a fact.
You touched on your skiing background earlier on. Do you want to talk to us about how you got into it and your experience and all that stuff?
Yeah, skiing was something I did before I ever started wrestling. That was I was like 9, 10, 11, whatever I was. And I was a national champion skier and bodybuilder, but skiing was the one that came first for me. But I was just too big, like not even just muscle. I mean, I was working out since I was 9, but I was just too tall. But I did well when I was a kid, when everyone's around the same height. But it was just one of those things where it's like it translated well over to the wrestling because I can do the acrobatic stuff. But I was just too big to continue that. A lot of those you see like Shaun White and stuff, those freestyle skiers and snowboarders are like 5'5". You know what I mean? I'm 6 foot, 6'1", 235. So that's a little bit bigger for that sport,
So like as we're getting towards the end, like what would your advice now be to like anyone that's out there watching or anyone that is trying to like break into the business and that is like the dream is to get into the business? What would you recommend to them to do to start off?
I always tell people, find a good school, which is just generic. I mean, be your own best advocate. Study, practice promos, and work on your body. Find something that makes you just believe in yourself. Find something that just allows you to believe in yourself, because in order to get heat or to get over or to do anything and be someone and achieve someone and go somewhere, you have to believe in yourself or nobody else will. So if someone tells you can't, just tell them to screw off, or even don't do that. Just walk away and just go to your own thing and make it and achieve something and become something. And no one can hold you back from achieving what you want to achieve. Only you can. So just freaking believe in yourself and work hard and just have a mindset and do something in your wrestling that makes you stand out and, be different from everyone else. Otherwise, you'll never do something. Don't focus on what you're doing or the moves or the flips or the high spots. Focus on a character and becoming something that stands out and having a persona that people can be like, that guy. When I wear my hair up, it's the guy with the ponytail on the top of his head. he flips his jacket down, he's cocky and arrogant, and he thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So you have to have something that's describable to other people, or you could just say golden boy, the freaking golden boy. You have to have something that's describable to other people. It doesn't have to be a body, it doesn't have to be your hair color, it doesn't have to be, what you say. It just has to be something. You don't have to be jacked, or you don't have to be skinny, or you don't have to be fat. You just have to be something where people on the streets go, that guy does something, And I'm not trying to put myself over, but when I was on the airplane flying back from LA last week, the lady was like, what do you do? What do you do? And I was like, I'm a professional wrestler. That's how you know that people can take something from you, is if you look like somebody. I mean, Enzo's not the biggest guy in the world. He's 5'11", probably 200 pounds, but he looks like somebody, He looks like somebody. He carries himself like somebody. He talks like somebody. And he respects himself like he's somebody. And that's what makes you stand out. You know what I mean?
That's pretty powerful, because you can adapt that just to day-to-day life as well, can't you? For whatever you do. It's that model.
That's the thing about I've taken something from everything I've done, and you can learn something, even if it doesn't directly apply to what you want to do in terms of wrestling or whatever. Like, it's just about becoming a better version of yourself and continually, applying yourself to be better, and not letting the restrictions of other people, words, or society hold you back from doing what you want to do. Because in reality, dude, you can do whatever the frick you want in life. The only person that can hold you back is you. And that's really the fact. And until people start taking that responsibility and acknowledge it and appreciate that and respect that, you're in control of your own life. You'll never achieve anything until you do that,
Pretty powerful.
It's not even powerful. It's just true. Like, some people just live like a robot. Like, they do their thing and then they go home, and that's fine. Like, some people are cool with that. People like the schedule or whatever. I freaking hate that, dude. Oh my gosh. There's ups and downs with wrestling, but I'll tell you what, there's nothing lower to me than to sacrifice what I want to do just to live a safe, comfortable, schedule-oriented life. Oh gosh, makes me want to farm. Makes me want to puke. Disgusting. But some people like it. That's cool. Whatever. You do your thing, I'll do mine.
Yeah, whatever floats your boat at the end of the day, isn't it?
What's that?
Yeah, 100%.
Floats your boat at the end of the day.
Yeah. You just do what makes you happy, and just be a happy person. There's a lot of people who are just miserable people, and it's so toxic. It really is.
Yeah, I agree.
Couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah, it doesn't go away. Like, once you get into wrestling, like, if anything, it probably gets worse. A lot of people are just bitter and whatever, but you just have to, no matter where you go in life, you just have to choose to be the person that you want to be, otherwise, life will choose it for you.
Yeah. Chav, are you still there, Chav?
What's up, man?
Chav?
Hello.
I've just made you host. Is there any way you can extend our time? I've just come up with a 10-minute time limit.
I'm not sure. I don't think so, mate. I think it's got to be done at the start.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We're running out of time. Well, we can do part 2 at some point. I'd be willing to join you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, let's get you back.
If we run out of time now, we'll just make a new link, and I'll quickly send you the new link, and then we just jump back on, can't we?
Or we can do part 2. Leave it as a cliffhanger and do part 2 at a later date.
We can do that. It'll keep your viewers engaged.
Do that one.
If I wasn't that boring, but let me plug some of my stuff, and I'm a mark for myself.
Yeah, 100%. Do it.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at AJZiggy1818, AJZIGGY 1818. YouTube, Andreas Ziegler, ANDREAS ZIEGLER. You can tell this isn't my first time putting myself over either. And then you can email me for bookings or inquiries or movie opportunities or acting, whatever the frick, doesn't matter, at official OFFICIALEHW@gmail.com. That's official EHW@gmail.com. One more time, OFFICIALEHW@gmail.com.
I will put all links to everything you just said in the description of the video. So just have a look down there, guys.
Yes. Pro Wrestling Tees, AJZ. I'll send you a signed 8x10 in the mail. Just message me on one of those platforms. We got a bunch of stuff. So there you go.
Love it, man. Gotta love it. So before we end part 1, then I'm just gonna put you on the big pressure question now. You get ready for this. So part of our podcast, we have a gimmick where we do a bold prediction at the end of every week, where we predict something wild that we think is going to happen in either WWE, AEW, or Impact.
Sure.
Put in the spot here. Have you got a bold prediction for this year's WrestleMania?
Ooh.
Something wild.
CM Punk returns.
Yes! That is
That's probably
bold.
the biggest one we've done.
Yeah. I don't think it gets bolder than that, right?
No,
Well, I mean,
definitely
you
not.
pretty much nailed it there.
Honestly, like everyone talks about Punk returning, but I feel like it'd be such a waste if it happens during the COVID time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
like everyone wanted him to be the AEW Revolution guy, and I'm like, I really don't want it to be him because I want it to be like a full capacity sellout crazy crowd in Chicago or something, you know?
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
want it
wild.
to be like in an empty arena. It's like
The crowd would just be electric that night.
yeah,
Oh my God,
exactly.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
maybe that's what the guy's waiting for, or not, you know. Just leave him alone regardless. You know? He's happy. Let him live his life, you know.
Yeah,
Want
yeah.
to wrestle? Let's not make him. Maybe if we stop bugging the guy, maybe he would come back, you know. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see.
yeah.
That's a guy I would love to wrestle. CM Punk. We both he wrestled a lot in the Milwaukee. I grew up in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee area, and he wrestled a lot in that
Oh,
area
right.
on his indie days. So that'd be really cool to work Punk. Very cool. I'd love to work with him. But yeah.
Oh, nice, man. Well, so I guess this is it for part 1, but we will definitely be wanting you back for part 2 because I think it's gone great today.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. We'll see if the viewers right? We don't want that guy back. Unsubscribe. I don't want to see part 2. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you guys. It was fun.
Oh, thank you very much for coming on, man.
Thank
We
you
really
very much.
appreciate it. We really enjoyed
Thank
it.
you.